Delegate Guyton, we can start with your next bill, HB 320. And let me just get to that page. All right, I have just you in person, and then we'll have two people virtually that.
You. There we go. Thank you again, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Again, still Delegate Michelle Guyton, District 42B in Baltimore County. And your day is only going to get more exciting now. So I think the chair of this committee, I heard her say that you didn't have anything too exciting in this committee this week. And I'm going to prove her right. Unless you are a real educational policy data geek like I am. So I'm very excited about this new bill, and I'll try to keep it short for those of you who are not. Thank you for your consideration of House Bill 320 to alter the definition of student data in the Maryland Longitudinal Data System. If you haven't had a briefing on this already in this committee, I'm sure you will at some point. This is the only acronym I'm going to use because it's hard to say over and over again. MLDS. MLDS stands for the Maryland Longitudinal Data System, so I can barely say it. And it's something that the members of this General Assembly, and in particular this Ways and Means Committee, should be incredibly proud of. The work that we've done in past sessions establishing and expanding the data system allows researchers to utilize encrypted and absolutely non-identified data. That's important, from 3 different state agencies: the Maryland State Department of Education, the Department of Labor, and the Maryland Higher Education Commission. And we use that, or researchers use this, although we can also, if you have a research question, so that's important to know, to develop and to evaluate the long-term effects of the policies that we put into place. And I feel like that's our responsibility. So every year, you're going to hear at least one, if not more, MLDS bills, because this was established in statute. So every time we want to add a new data point to the system, we have to do it through legislation. There's no other way. The addition to any data point has to be approved through a bill. So HB 320 simply alters the original statute to add specific student disability data to the list of student data that's collected and analyzed by the MLDS. So this is a request that came through the Maryland statewide stakeholder group on autism steering committee, group that I work with, and they would like this so that they could help track the prevalence of autism in our school system, the diagnoses, the long-term employment and educational outcomes of this population in Maryland. Currently, MSD, Maryland State Department of Education, already reports IEP status, so whether the child is in special education or not, but they do not report the specific disability code. And this is important for the same reason as my last bill, right? If you don't know which disability a child is actually coded for within the school system, you don't know how the policies are working for that specific group, because we do look at services for kids with autism differently than we look at services for kids with ADD. So it's very important that we have that information. So statutorily adding this specific disability category will help direct policy, and it will also help other groups as well. Even though I'm bringing it forward to you as a representative for the autism stakeholder group, this will affect and help all of our kids with disabilities in the state. So thank you so much for your consideration of House Bill 320, which will help us better support our students and allocate resources appropriately. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I think I do have a few folks on Zoom.
Thank you, Delegate. We have Liz Zogby, who signed up favorable on Zoom. And I think we also have an informational testimony. Well, I guess this person is informational for questions. Liz, you can begin.
Okay. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm providing this testimony today on behalf of Calvin Heddleman and myself. Mr. Heddleman is out of the country. Mr. Heddleman was a member of the Kirwan Commission, appointed by then Speaker Bush, and has been a policy analyst, advocate, and writer on special education issues. He's represented pro bono over 250 low-income students with disabilities in IEP meetings, and has written numerous articles and 1 book on special education. I am the co-chair of the Maryland Down Syndrome Advocacy Coalition, an outreach coordinator at the Trace R&D Center, at the University of Maryland that focuses on inclusive information and communication technology. Fortunately, there is at long last recognition in Maryland that the needs of students with disabilities have been severely neglected in policy, practice, and funding. The sponsor of HB 320, Delegate Guyton, has been in the forefront of efforts to bring about reform. And HB 320 commendably addresses one particular aspect, the absence of sufficient disaggregated data on students with disabilities in the Maryland Longitudinal Data System. Inclusion of student disability data by specific disability category is a start. The absence of such data impedes reform. Passage of HB 320 would at the same time help to focus the spotlight on the overall lack of adequate data on, for example, student performance and the cost of services. This lack of data hopefully will be part of the scope of the special education work group that the Blueprint Accountability and Implementation Board has directed the Maryland State Department of Education to create to study all aspects of special education. HB 320 could help to support that study. The sooner it is enacted and implemented, the better. Your support of HB 320 is urgently requested. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for this panel? I do believe Ross Goldstein from the Longitudinal Data System Center is on for informational to answer any questions. Is that right? Okay. Any questions? All right, Delegate Ebersol.
Since you're here, I just, this is an additional thing to be gathered, and the fiscal note says it shouldn't be a problem. I'm wondering if you agree with the fiscal note or if there will be a cost incurred with this.
Hi, so I'm Ross Goldstein. I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland Longitudinal Data System Center, and thank you for having me. I believe that this type of data, we already receive a lot of data from MSDE. I think that this would be able to be handled by us within the normal course of our duties. So I do not think there would be an additional fiscal note, at least for the MLDS Center. Can't speak for MSDE.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate your answer.
Thank you, Delegate. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, that concludes the hearing for HB 320. Thank you, Delegate Guyton.
Thank you so much.